Good afternoon from a very weird weather-wise South Wales. Now, don't worry, I'm not doing a weather report first of all, but the last 2 days have been really weird here in Wales. So today, it's somewhat nice and dry, bit of sunshine, but yesterday we had a random spurt of strong high winds and heavy rain, which I'm kind of gutted about because yesterday I had a full day off. So I thought, great, I'll go out and shoot, which kind of went, well, it didn't go very well to start with. So I said to Kaz, my other half, sod it, let's go out, let's go take some rainy day shots. So we went down to Porthcawl, which is on the coast of South Wales, and we thought, yeah, let's sod it, let's take some stormy photos. So today I'm going to show you what we got down at Porthcawl, how we done it, why we done it, and things to consider if you're going out to try and take some similar shots wherever you may be. Okay, so the first thing I'd recommend anyone to do when they're going out to shoot is do a little bit of research beforehand. What I've done today is I went to Porthcawl live camera hoping there'd be some sort of a live stream to show me what the weather was going to be like and if there was a lot of people, so I can try and plan a good time to go. Luckily I found a live camera which showed me exactly what I wanted to see, a live camera, but it also told me about the wind speed, where it was coming from, and what I really liked is it had a high tide and a low tide. I'm not some sort of expert on seeing how the waves are going to be coming in, but if there's any logic behind it, I would have thought that the bigger waves would be coming in when it was coming for the high tide, because there must be more power behind the waves for it to come in. I'm not an expert on it, not pretending to be, so I really encourage you to do your own research, but let's see how this one rolls out. So looking at the live footage, there's not a lot of people out there, which is a good start, so you're not going to be fighting through people, you're not going to be thinking, oh well, Morris and Doris are going to be walking through my frame right in the middle of taking a photo, which always seems to happen when you're trying to take a photo that you're really planning well, but here we are. But you can see on the right hand side there's a lot of waves coming in. There's obviously a bit of motion in there, but it doesn't look all that great at the moment. But just keep on watching, and in the middle is the lighthouse, and every now and then a nice big wave comes over and it looks really, really good. My initial wanting for this photo is to have a lighthouse in the distance with a nice big wave coming on the side. When I say do your research before you go out, you can do this via Facebook and Instagram. Those are really, really good ones to do. Social media is a great tool, and that's what I've done beforehand. I've seen in the past really nice photos where there's been a lighthouse and a big wave, and I really wanted to get that, and I just saw a massive wave there, and for me that's the deciding moment. I'm getting the keys, getting in the car, and we're going down to Porthcawl to get some shots. Okay, so for the rest of the video, I'm going to be doing a voiceover for the recording. Reason behind this is the wind was absolutely crazy. I really should have expected that a little bit better, but if I didn't do a voiceover, we'll have some hissing and occasionally, well, a wave crashing in and hear me get a little bit worried about it. But nonetheless, we're here, start enjoying it. The first thing I noticed is the tide's gone out. That's my fault. It took longer for us to drive down. We went past the drive-through for a hot drink. Days like this, I think that's just a creature comfort. I can't really think of anything nicer than a nice warm drink on a freezing cold day. But what I like to do from here is I'll take a little test shot just to see what my basic settings need to be, if I like the angle of where I am, so it kind of gives me an idea of where I need to go. I take the shot by here, get the right settings for what I think I need for a lot of the shoot, but I can adjust it where I am. But I didn't like the angle. It was too high up, it was too eye level, it was too, someone's gonna come along with their smartphone, zoom in a little bit, and it's what everyone's gonna get. So I'm gonna take advantage of the tide going out and having the rocks free to stand on. By doing that, I can go a little bit further out into the water to fill up my foreground a little bit, get a different angle, and maybe get something that some people wouldn't often get. Obviously here there are people on the rocks who are probably taking photos as well, but hey, it's all for fun. Let's go find somewhere where we can stand and take some photos. I really like the idea of these little rock pools by here. I imagine that might be an interesting photo shoot for another day when the tide goes out. Maybe get the lighthouse in the distance and have some water and some reflection in the foreground, but it's always good to have an idea of getting more photo shoots in the future as well. Always be on that lookout when you're taking some shots in different locations. So I've come here, I found a really, really good little location, so I think it's a fair time to set up and start taking some photos. There's no reason to wait for it. The waves are good, I'm feeling enthusiastic, don't want to be in the freezing cold, and I'm a little bit worried about the water splashing up, so we'll start taking some photos right away. And it's already, I feel, like going to be a good shoot. Okay, so to run through the settings that I'm using today, I'm using ISO 200, so really low ISO, and I'm shooting in RAW, so when I go back I know I have a good quality photo which isn't going to give me a lot of noise. It's not all the be all and end all having noise in the photograph, but I wanted to try and keep it as low as possible. I'm shooting 1/500th of a second. The reason I'm doing that is so I can try and freeze the water as best I can, so it gives you a really good idea of how strong the waves are, of how violent the waves are crashing against everything, to give it more of a feel. And I'm shooting between 2.8 and 4. This lens is 2.8 continuously all the way through the lens. That means I can get the most light through the actual lens, which means I have a faster shutter speed and lower ISO. And straight away I'm getting photos I'm absolutely loving. I absolutely love this photograph. It's moody with the clouds, it's got a big wave, it's got the lighthouse, and it's got a little bit of the rock on the left hand side leaning into the frame as well. That is exactly the type of photo I had in my head before I came on out. I wanted a photo which was dramatic, which showed you the weather, and just the ferocity of the waves as well. Really felt like that captured it straight away, so I'm really happy with that result. So the system that I'm using today is my Fujifilm X-T2 with a 50-140 lens. Now there's a few reasons why I chose this setup today. The first reason being the focal length, which means I can get nice and close into that lighthouse without getting as wet as I might be if I was a little bit closer. But the other reason being is it's all weather resistant. That means if it starts raining or if the water sprays up a little bit too much from the rocks in front of me and hits my camera, I know my camera is going to have a level of protection because it's weather or water resistant. It doesn't mean you have to go out and buy a camera to do the photography with weather resistant. You can always buy a waterproof cover. You can always buy a neoprene cover with water repellency on there. What I'll do, I'll link in my description down below. It's a good thing to keep in your bag if your camera's not weather resistant because it will protect your equipment. So let's look at a black and white photograph now. So we've got a black and white photograph here, and the reason I like this is the sky is really dark with texture, and you can still see the detail in the bright waves in the front. To me that looks really contrasty and it looks very, very dramatic, and I really like it for this reason. But a lot of people will use black and white to make their photos look more dramatic, or they might do it to make certain parts of their photograph stand out. I think it really does make a big difference in telling a story. For an example, if you're taking a photo of, let's say, street photography, and you've got a really dark building where the shadows are, and someone might be wearing a really, really bright coloured coat, for instance. In colour, it can look alright, it doesn't look all that great sometimes, so you put it in black and white, it turns into a different level of grey, and it can really make a photograph stand out and really pop out a little bit. So be keen to experiment and shooting in black and white and not just colour all the time. You can always change it into black and white in post editing if you want to, or you can usually shoot black and white in the camera. Check your camera settings out and see if you can or can't, and just give it a go. Okay, so you can probably hear that I'm shooting multiple frames per second. The reason I'm doing this is because you never know when the right photo is going to come along. You don't know the actual second you want to take the photograph until you review your photos. In this instant, I've managed to get this photograph, and I've also got this photograph right here. I am so happy that I got these photographs for one particular reason, and that is because there's a rainbow in the water. I absolutely love that about the photos, and to me that's what makes these photos today the money shot, if you like, the shot that I can walk away with and go, yeah, I am so glad I got this. And the reason I'm so glad is because I'd done my research on Instagram. I typed in Porthcawl, I typed in Porthcawl Lighthouse, and no photos came up that I can recall with a rainbow in there. There might have been somewhere, but I certainly didn't see any. So when I got the photos and I looked back at the screen, I felt like I was bringing something new to the table. And that's what photography is in a lot of ways. It's an expressive art. You're creating something, you're making a photograph, but it's really, really rewarding when you make something new, something which no one else has done before, and you get to put that out there, and you get to put your own creative spin on it so other people can see it. So I was really, really happy with this photograph and how it turned out. Okay, so I think I've just been sitting there far too long taking photographs. These rocks weren't built for comfort, so I think it's time to have a little look around the area. And that's definitely worth doing wherever you're shooting is. Have a look around in the area you are. You might come across an entirely different photo to make, and that might be make a photo right here, right now, or come back to in the future. And my mind thought throughout this photo shoot, and just looking at this place by here, is this would be an amazing place to bring a client back and have a photo shoot. You've got a dramatic environment, it's a really cool look in there, and it'd be a great backdrop. So I'm definitely going to come back down here and make more photos in the future. Something that I always do as well is I always have a little notebook. I'll write down the locations I want to bring a client down to in the future, just so I have a nice little list of options for people in the future. So that's definitely worth doing if you're into a bit of portrait as well as landscape as well. Okay, so let's just go over the 3 tips I've given you in today's video. Tip number 1, if you've got a friend who's interested in photography and wants to go out shooting with you, go out shooting with your friend. I'm really lucky, my girlfriend's a photographer. We get to go out shooting together all the time, and we always learn something new off each other. We bounce off each other's ideas, and you always keep learning photography, and that is the beauty about photography. It's an ongoing thing. You're never the world's best. Tip number 2, if you haven't got a weather-resistant camera, make sure you've got some sort of protection for it, and that can be a waterproof cover or a waterproof sleeve. Camera gear is expensive, you need to protect it. And tip number 3 is don't be afraid to put your photos in black and white or shoot in black and white for a whole new creative input. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Please hit subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions, don't be afraid to hit anything up in the comments section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you soon. Cheers guys!